history.
Oh,
Debra?
sorry. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome to Live Life Productions. My name is Constance Gregory, and this evening we're here with Miss Debra King. Debra, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I'm excited. I'm excited to talk with you. Listen, we are going to learn some very exciting things. Miss Debra King is a mental health counselor specializing in addictions. Tell us a little bit about your wonderful, wonderful ventures. I know you've had some adventures and some things that brought you to that. Please share with us.
Well, originally I wanted to be a doctor or a lawyer. So I went to school and I had a bachelor's degree in criminal justice and I minored in forensic science.
Oh, exciting.
From there, I went and joined the family business, which was a sports promotion company called Don King Productions.
You call me the Don King?
The Don King.
All right.
So he's the only in America man to most, but
Right,
to me,
exactly.
I just call him Dad.
Okay.
Okay, so I was a sports manager.
Mhm.
From there, in like the late 1990s, I fell upon the world of cocaine.
Okay.
So from there, it went dark for a little while, but I was one of the lucky ones that made it back.
Mhm.
And in doing so, I decided to educate myself to see how I could help others
Yes,
that fall prey to this disease of addiction to make it back.
absolutely.
So,
All right, what I was trying to say is you're moving your hands. So whenever I do like this, it's because you're moving your hands.
okay,
You need to face the camera sometime also.
Yeah,
okay.
good, Debbie.
Mm-hmm. So, wait a minute.
People don't always make it back. You're absolutely correct about that. They get stuck there, and that's where it ends for so many people.
Absolutely.
You made it back.
I did, and I'm so grateful and thankful. So I said, what can I do to be able to help others? So I know that no one wakes up wanting to just become an addict.
Right.
It's always something that takes you there, be it anxiety, depression, bipolar,
That's
schizophrenia,
true.
something
takes you there.
because you always use a mood-altering substance to numb something. To avoid a pain, to avoid a trauma, an abuse, a memory. So I went back to school at 50 years old and got a master's degree in mental health so I could understand the workings of the brain.
Absolutely. Awesome.
Yes.
That's a very, very critical piece there because the brain is very complicated.
It is,
Yeah.
it is, and the brain is your most powerful tool. It can talk you into or out of anything it wants to. So it became very interesting to me, and then I decided that I wanted to give back to the niche of people that I saw in my addiction. I help everybody, but I want to specialize in athletes and entertainers and the affluent because we wear the mask.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
And so many of us are dying, that it's time to say when.
And so what made you know it was time for you to say when? It was enough of that world, and now I'm going to win it back. What made you say enough?
Enough was enough for me. My mother became ill, and I had decided that I was gonna go to rehab with a little extra push from getting arrested. And I wanted to go back, and we were praying for her before she went through surgery. And in that moment of clarity, she said, you don't have to pray for me. God's got me. Pray for my baby. We gonna pray for Debbie.
Wow.
I vowed walking out of Cleveland Clinic Hospital from that day to this that I would never ingest another narcotic in my life, and I have not done that. And I wanted to learn as much as I could to help as many as I could to honor my mother and more so honor myself.
Wow. I'm sure from heaven she's smiling.
I hope so.
I'm sure she is. I'm sure she
I hope
is.
so.
Now you told me something you did for mom, that you can hug her every day.
Yes, I have my mother tattooed right here on my arm so that every day I can hug her and she goes with me everywhere.
Awesome.
Yes.
So if I asked you the question, who was the person two people who impacted you the most in your life?
I would
They
say
would be-
my parents, because my father is my hero, but my mother is my strength. know, so now I still have, blessed to have one still living and one to be my guardian angel.
Awesome. I have a question for you here. There's a gentleman named Les Brown,
Mm-hmm.
and he has a quote: "You judge a person not by what they accomplished, but by what they had to overcome in order to accomplish it." What does that say to you? How does that refer to you?
It refers to me a lot because Les is a mentor of mine. You know,
Oh,
I think
awesome.
he is a wonderful man, and you know, he's helping me to embrace my own voice.
Mhm.
You know, for me, I had to overcome sharing the front page of the National Enquirer with Monica Lewinsky. So I said, well, they tried to embarrass me out loud, so now I'm gonna recover out loud.
All right.
I will not wear my addiction as a badge of shame, but I wave it as a badge of honor.
Honor. And we have to make those decisions. We have to be intentional about going forward, and you were intentional. To make
Absolutely,
certain that you,
absolutely, because at the
Step
end
the
of
right
the
way.
day, it's a
it's
choice.
a choice.
You know, I can only accidentally get high once, because I didn't know what to expect.
Right.
But from moving forward from that time, I had to make a choice. So as I made the choice to start, I had to make the choice to stop.
And you made that choice successfully.
Absolutely. So
Successfully.
through that experience with my mother's unconditional love, it nurtured a yearning in me, and I created It Takes a Life to Save a Life Foundation. So let me begin by offering
Awesome.
your mind.
Awesome. It takes a life. Say it again now.
It takes a life to save a life.
That is so powerful. It takes a life to save a life. And we have heard that before, haven't we?
Yes, that is my mantra, you
Yes.
know,
Yes.
and I just want to be able to give back. And in addiction, you beat yourself up. You have
Mhm.
low self-esteem.
Mhm.
And you know, you're faced with so many challenges
Mhm.
that somebody has to be that vision of hope, that ear to listen to, that hand to hold, or that hug. I want to be that person, because as long as you have life, you have hope.
Now, do you find that many people are calling on you, or you find a lot of people out there to help?
Oh, absolutely. You know, the hardest part is the denial of being in denial.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and once you can get past that and say, I really need help, and understand that help isn't a sign of weakness or an admittance of failure, but it's an act of which to gain strength to not be taken in by such a disease. Because addiction is a beast,
It is.
and you have to respect it. You know, the cemetery is filled with so many untold stories, so many unsung songs, so many unaccomplished dreams.
It's been known to be the richest place on earth.
It
Some people
is.
die with their dreams and then never accomplishing them. This is true.
Absolutely.
Now, how do you find that the people you've helped are able to go forth and walk in their dream, or identify that passionate dream and go forth and accomplish it? Do you find that happening?
I do, you know, when I know that they are alive and well, and I can call them a year later and they're now having families and
Amen.
doing what they're
All right,
doing,
all right.
that is a victory.
It is.
Because every day that you can wake up and not have to be dependent upon something or someone is a
It's
blessing.
a blessing. It's a
You know,
blessing.
because not all addictions are to substances. Some
That's
people
true.
are addicted to people.
Mhm.
Some people are addicted to stuff. Some people are addicted to just making other people miserable.
Mm.
You know,
We see it every day.
we call them haters.
And we live like that every day, don't we?
Every
We
day.
call them haters.
We call them haters.
Yes.
You know, and it increases the potential for these kids to die. And the saddest testimony you can have is the opioid pandemic that's hitting America today.
Oh.
And they justify it by giving the excuse, the doctor gave it to me.
And we're drowning in that.
And we're drowning.
Yes, we are.
We're drowning. 500,000 people are estimated to die within the next 5 years. That's a small country.
Mm.
64,000 died of overdose last year.
Mm.
And they're starting as young as 12 years old.
And do you find that's happening more in our communities than others, or is it kind of widespread?
It's widespread. It's always been happening in our communities. We were just never recognized until it crossed over into white America and to the suburbs. Now it's getting the attention it should have gotten way back when.
So are you finding that a lot of the people are you able to go to the communities, send a message, tell your stories, and people are listening and they're asking for help?
Yes, there's some reluctance because they don't wanna know really how to get out because they don't see any other way.
They don't see any other way.
You know what I'm saying? And what I'm meaning by that is if you take a person and you put them through the rehab system and you get them stable,
Right.
and you send them back to the same environment without making any changes, if nothing changes, nothing changes.
Nothing changes. Wow.
So you just gave them a vacation for a little while, but you set them up to fail because you're not showing them a better way. So I feel if you're gonna come through those kind of systems, go to a sober community. They don't have such a thing. Anybody can get clean and sober in a structured environment. I like to deal with people and do concierge therapy to tell you how to live in your own environment.
Concierge therapy.
Yes, I bring the therapy to you.
Oh, okay.
Because everybody's not built for rehab,
That's true.
but the real recovery starts when nobody's looking, and you can't say, well, won't nobody know, because you know.
Because you know.
And the most important opinion of you is from you.
Changing the subject just slightly here. What message of faith and endurance would you like to share with your family and friends that you've experienced? What message of faith and hope would you share?
I stand on my faith, and I know that that's what brought me through. And I know that there's something greater than myself, and I just happen to call mine God. And,
I understand that.
for me, religion was for those that were afraid to go to hell. Spirituality is for those who've already been there.
Okay.
I've seen the dark side.
Okay.
So I can walk in the light and rejoice and praise him every day, because only by the grace of God go I.
And then you have a message to tell, because you've been on both sides.
Been there.
You've been there.
Been there.
Right, so your message is stronger. Another question for you. As I talk with you, I hear that you are one who has come to accept what is, and that doesn't mean that you'll have the absence of wanting to be a change maker, but I hear that thing of acceptance in you. Where did that come from?
Well, when you battle against yourself, my first acceptance was of me. So I learned to self-validate. And I try to spread that message that you don't need to be a Mr. or Mrs. anything. Be yourself.
So many of us don't know how to do that.
And that is so true.
So many of us do not know how to be ourselves.
If you think about it, you're the first part of your equation. It had to be a you before it became a us. It had to be an us before it becomes a them. But a lot of us lose our identity in that equation. You become somebody's wife, somebody's mother, you're somebody's sister or brother,
Right.
And the list can go on and on.
Okay, so how do we find ourselves? We have our children, we have our husbands, or had the husband, got rid of the husband, and we're someone's daughter. She said, so how do I now find myself? What's my first step in terms of finding out who I really am and walking that path?
You have to love the person that's looking back at you in the mirror. And when you love you, you have to become your own priority. Self-preservation is the law of nature. So when you learn to love you, you learn to embrace you, and now you're really qualified to love somebody else.
So it starts with me.
It starts with
loving and accepting me.
Absolutely.
So that's powerful. That's powerful.
The good, the bad, the ugly of you. But be all right with it. You gotta learn how to laugh at yourself. If you can't laugh at yourself, you can't heal yourself.
Do you think some of us take ourselves too seriously?
Way too seriously.
Okay.
Lighten up.
So we all make mistakes then. We all
Absolutely.
are fallible, imperfect beings. And it's okay?
It's okay.
It's okay.
There's only
It's okay.
one I am. So we need to quit trying to pretend
Oh,
to
that
be
speaks.
more than what we are. We are
That
humans.
speaks loudly. Yeah.
So just be us. He created us in his image, but he gave us all our own traits and personalities.
Right. Awesome. And once I begin to accept myself and my mistakes, being fallible, then I can accept someone else's mistakes and let it be okay.
Absolutely.
And not get tripped up by someone else messing up.
Because if you ever think about it, when you give somebody else an expectation